At 70 years old and just entering his 28th season as Iowa's head coach, Kirk Ferentz is carving the closing chapters of a legend, and he's not done yet. With his contract running through at least 2029 and no signs of walking away, the question isn't if he'll coach again, it's how this era ends. Let's break down Ferentz's final act in the black and gold.
You are Locked On Hawkeyes, your daily podcast on the Iowa Hawkeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Commit, I'm Trent Condon, and this is the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. Thanks for making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen every day, your daily Iowa Hawkeye podcast. I've been covering the Hawkeyes for over 20 years on the radio here in the state of Iowa. You can hear me currently on the Iowa Sports Radio Network with stations in Des Moines, Iowa City, Cedar Rapids, the Quad Cities, and Sioux City each weekday from noon to 2. Today's episode of Locked On Hawkeyes is brought to you by FanDuel. It's the last call for football on FanDuel. If you're a new customer, bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. Today, we take a look at what is coming up for Iowa basketball, both on the men's and women's side tonight. A late night affair against Washington. 10 o'clock tip-off, our final thoughts and preview that matchup and some injury concerns for Tavian Banks. We'll also talk basketball with John Boenkamp. He'll join us from the Associated Press, the AP writer on Iowa Hoops. We'll get his perspective on all things Hawkeyes, both the men and the women, with maybe a more difficult matchup as they face off against Minnesota at home coming up on Thursday evening. But we begin today with some football talk. And yes, it is the offseason. That means an opportunity to spread our wings out a little bit more and take a look at more of those wide-ranging conversations. And this conversation, I'm sure all of you had. Doesn't matter if it's the bar stool or with a group of friends, or maybe it's your significant other at home, whatever it may be. When is going to be the end of Kirk Ferentz? What is it going to look like when he walks away, and how is it shaping up? Now, I paint this with the knowledge that nobody truly knows when this is going to happen, when the time comes. And we've seen so many surprises when guys walk away at times that don't feel like that's going to be when it comes to an end. It just happens. And you don't know when you're 70 years old, when you just make that decision. But what we do know about Kirk Ferentz, that guy loves being a football coach. The actual building of a team, the practices, everything that goes into getting to the point where you're able to go out there each and every Saturday and compete. He loves that part of it. He loves the competition part, and that's not something that you can replicate. He doesn't play golf. There's not many avenues that you certainly can get at the same line. And we've talked about many times here in the past, and our everydayer certainly have heard me mention this before. I think regardless, whenever it happens for Kirk Ferentz, football's still going to be part of his life in one form or fashion. You know, he joked back in 2020 during the COVID shutdown of everything that he tried a couple of different things. They weren't for him. And after a while, his wife, Mary, got sick of him being around the house and puttering around. I think he'll end up probably being an offensive line coach, like at the high school level, or helping out in some form or fashion. Coaching, teaching is in his blood. And I don't think that's anything that he's ever going to want to give up, just the way that he is wired. He's not a golfer. You don't hear about those kind of things that we're going to see Kirk Ferentz in some capacity, someplace. But the conversation is about the here and now. And after yet another successful season in 2025, going out there, closing the gap as they have between them and the upper echelon programs. And yes, it was frustrating not getting that win against Oregon, against Indiana. And we have talked ad nauseum certainly about both of those losses and how frustrating both of them were. Another loss to Iowa State, 3 out of 4 losses. Still, in totality, you look at the consistent level that Kirk Ferentz delivers year in and year out, you're going to get a consistent winner. Something that doesn't happen in college football outside of the upper reaches. And for a more next tier program, a tier 2 program like Iowa football is, there's very rare that you see this kind of consistency that Ferentz has been able to deliver for the Hawkeyes year after year after year. So I mentioned the contract. It goes through 2029. And now you also do wonder, is there going to be some kind of extension? Is that something that's going to be tacked on? Because recruiting, when you have that short tenure, becomes more and more difficult. And we hear about rollovers. Some coaches have lifetime contracts that aren't lifetime contracts, but that's just the way that they're worded. Bill Self has something like that. Tom Izzo, another one of those guys, those lifetime contracts. Is that something that I was willing to do? Beth Goetz, a new athletic director. That's a different conversation for a different day. But I want to paint it in this aspect because it's something we've talked about with what Iowa did in the transfer portal this year. Going out, getting multiple year guys that are not a 1-year stopgap, but an opportunity to really build. And the schedule this year is tough. As we talked about in the Big Ten slate, your 3 most difficult games, those are the 3 that you open up Big Ten play. At Michigan, home for Ohio State, at Washington. Your 3 toughest games all come in your first 3 of the Big Ten slate. But now you're going to have, for the first time in the Tim Lester era as the offensive coordinator, you're going to have an opportunity to have a quarterback go through spring practice. One of the guys that were one of his guys, right? A handpicked guy that he brought in, Jeremy Hecklinski, Hake Brown. Those are guys that he got his eyes on. A team that is going to be incredibly young in 2026. And really, I wonder if this is setting the stage for 2027. That is going to be maybe a realistic end mark for Ferentz, that what he points to. Now, I do not think that we are going to get him before a season begins saying, this is going to be the end. This is going to be my final year. I don't think Kirk would want to do that and have any kind of distraction like that for the football program. That's just not the way he's wired. Secondly, you'd have all the things that happen. You know, we see it like in Major League Baseball, right? Guy announcing that he's going to retire at the end of the year. He goes to all these cities and he gets a little gift. And if that happens, I think Kirk Ferentz would absolutely hate something like that. I don't think that's the way it's going to be. I'm sure it's going to be something relatively quiet after a regular season concludes, maybe one more bowl game, and then the wheels will be in motion for that to happen. One other thing that always lingers in my mind, though, is something similar to what happened in Wisconsin basketball. And that's not alone, but it's happened many other places. If Kirk Ferentz has the idea and has who he wants to be the successor, or maybe even making it a more difficult choice to go out there and get an acting head coach and go internal, as if he does the retirement at a weird time. Like we saw Bo Ryan leading into the season. We saw the same thing happen a couple of different places, that decision. Tony Bennett, when he did that at Virginia. And then really the only avenue for, in this case, the athletic director and for Beth Goetz is to go internal, give that candidate at least an interim year, and then go from there. I hope that's not the case. I hope whenever it is, 2027, 2029, hell, 2040. I don't care when it ends for Kirk Ferentz. What does, though, is the fashion that it is. I hope it goes incredibly well. I think it ends well. And I do believe Iowa is set up to make a bit of a run here these next couple of seasons. And what they did in the transfer portal definitely is a part of that. Little football talk to kick things off here today as we get ready for some late night basketball against Washington. Hawkeyes and Huskies, 10 o'clock Central tip-off. That one will be on Big Ten Network. We're going to talk about the game and some of the matchup issues for the Hawkeyes against a big Washington team. John Boenkamp, he joins us next. He is the writer for the Associated Press. You can also find his work, IowaCollegeHoops.com. John Boenkamp on the other side as we continue talking Hawkeyes with you on your daily Iowa Hawkeye podcast, Locked On Hawkeyes.
I'm Kalia Butler, host of Locked On Women's Basketball, and this is Mazda's Women's Basketball Snapshot, celebrating the work no highlight reel can ever capture. Number 1 ranked UConn dominated Tennessee 96-66, turning a halftime tie into a historic win and avenging last season's loss by delivering the largest margin in the rivalry's history. AZ Fudd had 27 points and Sarah Strong added 26 as the Huskies remain perfect on the season, reminding everyone why they are the reigning national champions. In the Big Ten, number 2 UCLA rolled past number 8 Iowa 88-65, powered by 22 points from Angela Dukelich and a huge advantage in the paint, staking their claim as a national threat. These moments are earned off the clock, those long before the lights ever come on. The sweat, the fakes, the doubt, the scrapes, and coming back for more every time. Mazda puts that same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment, putting in the work, that defines you. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you.
John Boenkamp, friend of the program. He joins us, talk some Iowa hoops. Hello, John Boenkamp. Trent and Ken, how are you?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
It sounds like you're driving. Where are you?
Oh, I'm actually sitting in my car
Okay.
by the Fort Madison Amtrak depot. So we may get a train go by here.
If we're lucky.
If we're lucky.
Right.
So,
good stuff.
Anyway.
Well, did you, are you going to get a nap this afternoon? Do you have the AP recap for the Associated Press tonight, the Washington Iowa game?
No, but I will stay up. I always stay up till midnight anyway, so it gives a nice. I was laughing when I saw that the game starts at 10 o'clock our time on that. But welcome to the Big Ten.
Yeah, welcome to the Big Ten, indeed. So let's go back to the Oregon game before we kind of take a sneak peek to tonight. So many positives, John, that I took away from that game. What was I'm obviously concerned with Banks and his health going forward,
Sure.
but your thoughts as you look back to what happened on Sunday night?
I just thought they just ran their offense very well the other night. And, you've been kind of seeing it, at different times, but I thought from beginning to end, I thought that was a very good offensive game, and obviously defensively too. I mean, I thought they were really good. Got good minutes out of Brendan Hostin, which they haven't, been able to use him, at times this year, but I thought he played well. Bennett Sturts is Bennett Sturts.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought it was a really good road win for this point of the Big Ten season. Because these are the games, that you want to win. If you want to be in that upper part of that league and play on Thursday in the Big Ten tournament, got to win these games. So, I really liked how they started this little 2-game swing with how they played Sunday night.
This is the easy part of the Big Ten schedule, the most difficult of the next three tonight against Washington. We'll get to that game momentarily, but after Washington, back home for Northwestern, a road trip out to Maryland, who's just awful. And then your closing stretch, final 7 games. 6 of them are going to be incredibly difficult games. You think this team's ready for that closing stretch starting on Valentine's against Purdue? Do you
sold out?
All signs say this Iowa team, they're ready for this closing stretch.
I think so, and I mean, I think, you want to get tonight, and, Sunday could be interesting because they're not going to get back from Washington until, early tomorrow morning at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And, so, I mean, we talked about that with Ben McCollum the other day, and he's like, probably won't practice Thursday, will on Friday and Saturday. If they can get their legs back, that should be no problem on Sunday. But yeah, these are, again, you can't afford to dump one of these, because that puts a lot of pressure on that last part of the schedule. But I do think they're ready. I do like how they're playing. Other than the Tavian Banks injury, I mean, for the most part, they're healthy.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of got through that stomach flu stretch here from a couple weeks ago, which thank God I didn't catch it. But anyway, no, I do like where this team is at right now and the way they're playing.
Did McCollum, he says Banks is going to be able to play tonight. After the game, I thought that I saw a quote that he mentioned that it goes back, it's the same injury, and I'm paraphrasing, it's the same thing that bugged or plagued him when he was at Drake. Well, you only missed 1 game last year. Do you know what the injury that Banks apparently is dealing with? Do you know, John?
It's something, I'll use the phrase lower body. But I do think I don't know, but I do think they would be wise to kind of take it easy with him tonight. And if he can go maybe 8 or 9 minutes, something like that, because you've got other guys you can use, and you can kind of space those minutes out, I think. But just be wise with him, kind of take it easy with him here, because you're going to need him down the stretch. I mean, because he has been so good for them this year. You want him better for, the end of February and March. So you kind of take it easy on him. And that's why Brendan Hostin's play is not so important. Because you're going to need him a little bit more than what you've been using him. So get him those minutes, get him used to those kind of minutes, and use him here in the next couple of games, and then get ready for, as we talked about, the final stretch.
Big final stretch for them. Washington, this would be a nice win. Possibility of a quad 2, maybe even a quad win, because Washington's schedule gets much easier in the back half of the Big Ten slate. 2 6-11 guys for the Huskies. Is this Trevin Urach's going to have to help out a little bit?
Sure.
Need more out of Cam Manwa. Going up against a couple of behemoths like that. This is not a big Iowa team, certainly, as we know. Concern level there, and do you think we're going to see Urach?
I do, because I mean, I think he's just kind of caught in a numbers game right now in terms of minutes available. But with his size and the way he plays, I think you have to get him in a little bit tonight and use him to take some of the pressure off some of the other guys. If you get into foul trouble, you're really going to need him. So, yeah, I do think we see him tonight. I do think he'll give him good minutes when he's in there. I mean, he's never really hurt them when he's been in this year. I mean, I think he's played well when he's had his opportunities. So why not give him a little run tonight and let him see what he can do? Because, again, it's going to be all hands on deck as you get into the month of March.
Let's ask the Tavian Banks question regarding free throws. How will he handle it if indeed he does get within one or tied with Chris Street and Jordan Bohannon? What's going to happen?
I think he'll go for it. You know, and I mean, I
think
don't
he
have
should.
a problem if he does.
Yeah,
I don't have a problem if he does. And because I mean, again, it was cool when Jordan Bohannon did that, you know, a few years ago. He doesn't have, you know, this isn't quite the same thing, you know, but so I do think you have to go for it. I mean, I think because, I mean, at this point in the season, you got to get wins and you got to get points and you got to do these things. I think you got to do it, and no one will blame him if he does. I really think, and I think it'll be cool if he can break the record. And I don't think anybody should have a problem with it. Let's put it that way.
I'm with you.
Let's jump over to the women. They had their own West Coast trip. Didn't go as well as it has so far for the Iowa men.
Yeah.
Falling to USC. Now, the UCLA game, not a surprise. That is an elite level team, but losing to USC in that fashion, I think I overlooked the importance of Taylor McCabe, just how important she is to this team. It's not just the 3-point shooting, it's the other things. Jan Jensen mentioned that after the game. Every time you're supposed to switch, she switches
leadership,
defensively. Makes the right plays, the senior leadership, and this is a young team overall. John, I think I overlooked the importance of McCabe, just thinking, they can replace her with Addie Deal. They'll be fine. There's more to it than just what she does shooting the basketball.
I think anytime you lose a starter, especially at this point in the season, it takes you a little while to react, and it takes you a little while to accept the fact she's not going to be there. So I do think those two games, I think you kind of saw that, by the way, a train is rolling by.
No. Perfect for you.
But yes, it is. Yeah, it's we got an eastbound stack train. Anyway, no, I do think that teams have to learn sometimes to play without somebody who, I mean, you know, she was a 30-minute-a-game player.
Yeah.
So those are minutes that are going to go to somebody else. So they have to get used to the more playing time and more responsibility. And it came at a bad time for them. I mean, it's never a good time to lose somebody for the season, but it came, you know, as they're heading west. You know, my thought was go west and get a split and you're okay. You know, losing both kind of, you know, now you're back in the pack a little bit. Now you got to kind of start to, you know, you're now going to have to kind of contend with everybody around you. So, yeah, it was a little disappointing. It was. They'll figure it out. I mean, there's enough time to figure it out. There's enough talent there to figure it out, but there's still that adjustment period of being without a player.
Yeah. Speaking of figuring it out, Addie Deal figures out home and away. Her home numbers at home outstanding. Right. The Ohio State game, she had 20. She was 1 for 9 on the combined on the West Coast trip. Is that just being a freshman and life on the road and learning how to deal with it?
All of that. I mean, it's. I mean, when you're a freshman, you know there are certain freshmen that have never had a problem. See Caitlin Clark, but a lot of freshmen, there's an adjustment, and so this. I mean, she was going home, you know, and so I don't want to put a lot on what happened because it is, you're a freshman, you're in a new situation, you know, there's a lot going on. Let's see what she looks like tomorrow night against Minnesota, and let's see what she kind of looks like down the stretch here.
Tomorrow night, they get Minnesota. And in the past, these have been laughers. I was dominated here. It's taken maybe a little bit longer than people thought, but Dawn Plitzewite, she's done a really nice job with this team. And though they're 16-6 on the year, the advanced metrics absolutely love this Minnesota team. Have you taken a look at the Gophers? I know they got a 6'5" girl in the middle. It definitely helps things out, and a really good shooter on the outside. What do you know about the Gophers, and maybe certainly a tougher tussle than we've seen recently when these two teams have got together?
Yeah. Don's an old Summit League coach.
Yeah, right? South Dakota.
When she was there, and you know, they played Western Illinois, and she's a really good coach. You know, I think she's been really good for that program. And I mean, think about where it was, you know, a couple of years ago, and I think she's done a really good job with it. I really haven't dug into much on them yet, but I do think that it is going to challenge them. you look down the stretch with this team, with this Iowa team, and you look at some of the games on here, there's going to be some interesting games that if you want to be a serious in that Friday round of the Big Ten tournament, you want, or whatever it is now. I'm not sure if I don't even know the schedule sometimes anymore, these conference tournaments. But if you want to be in that double bye or triple bye, I guess, you don't want to be messing around with games like this. You want to win these games. They're at home. So it's going to be really important to kind of bounce back from this trip, to come out, play well on Thursday night, and then do some things, get back to what you were before you left.
John, I want to ask you this, just from your experience. Obviously, you're a newspaper guy. We're a newspaper guy, Burlington Bee, now the Washington Post. I know I said those two papers in the same sentence, but you get my point. It's starting to affect media in a whole lot of different places. I mean,
right.
We certainly didn't think we'd see the end of the Washington Post sports section, but here we are.
Here we are.
And it's not coming back, is it, John? We're consuming media differently now, and newspapers, sadly, if it can happen in the Washington Post, a big paper like that, big sports section, nobody's safe.
Yeah. I mean, think about the names that have come through.
Oh, my God.
And, I remember when I was a kid and we would get the state edition of the Des Moines Register, and occasionally there would be a Thomas Boswell baseball story in there. And, oh, my God, he's so good. And I got all of John Feinstein's books. And, Sally Jenkins, Kornheiser, Wilbon, all those guys. And all those and so I was really sad today because, it was this was, I mean, like I said, this was, like you said, this is a big city sports section. And I think about, I grew up reading the Chicago Tribune, and I think what that's become now.
Yep.
And, and the things they don't cover anymore. And you see this somewhere. And I was really sad today. I mean, I knew it was coming. You could see the handwriting on the wall in the last couple of weeks. It was really sad. And it's, as somebody who loved the print product and grew up in that era and seeing what the business has become, it gets sadder all the time, I guess.
Yeah, all four major sports, too.
Yes.
In Washington. Now they won't have anybody on the beat. Unbelievable.
Exactly.
Oh,
yeah.
Brutal.
One final thing.
It's a sad day. Really sad day.
Yep.
So anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Just kind of on that side, I'm always interested in your business and the writing side. So you're penning a story for the Associated Press on, say, an Iowa game. Has the writing changed? I mean, what they also ask for you, has that changed and evolved throughout the years?
Oh, yeah. I mean, right now, if they're ranked and it's top 25 for men, top 10 for women, don't ask. I don't make that decision. It's 300 words, and that's it. Now, if there's something newsworthy happens, like if a coach goes off after the press conference, you get another story. But now for football, it's a little different. Football, it's 300 words at the buzzer, and then you take that story and add quotes to it after the press conference. Basketball, it's just 300 words. And that's different, and I mean, and I think back to when I was, I was putting together a sports section and you got these AP stories, you had quotes, and I think Super Bowl weekend coming up reminds me of that. I always loved to work Super Bowl Sunday night, because that Monday paper, boy, you could do a lot of things, graphics and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, it is different. It is a lot different. And that's why with my site that doesn't make me any money, I try to be the old school. I try to be the old school 25-inch story, 1,000-word story that kind of, delves into the game and does some different things. That's why I love The Athletic. Because The Athletic does some of those things, So, so, but again, it is just really, the business is so much different. So.
Sadly so. It's a good thing the AP's paying $10 a word for you. So. Good stuff. There it is, John. There it is. There's the train whistle.
We got a coal train coming by.
Boy.
We got a coal train coming by now.
Americana. Good stuff, John Boenkamp.
Interactive radio.
Love it. Love it. Thanks, John.
Go get hit, Bohnenkamp.
See you, buddy. John Boenkamp. Good to talk to you.
Man.
He loves his trades.
Hey, that thing sounded close.
He did.
John Boenkamp joining us, and always appreciate John's time. Great stuff from him as we talk a little Iowa basketball with the Associated Press writer. Thank you for making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. If you haven't already, go check out our new Everydayer Club, an opportunity for you to get Locked On Hawkeyes ad-free. That's right, an audio feed ad-free of Locked On Hawkeyes. It works with Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all the major podcast apps that are out there. Plus, you can join the members-only Locked On Everydayer Club Discord server. It is real conversation about the Hawks, about your favorite teams, all available for you on the Discord channel. Just go to lockedonhawkeyes.supercast.com to sign up. That's lockedonhawkeyes.supercast.com. Wrapping things up, final look at the matchup against Washington and the Tavian Banks injury concerns. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax Full Service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish without the stress or guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person or even connect online. They handle everything from W-2 to self-employed forms and work to get you every deduction. As somebody that owns a small business, this is an absolute game changer and a time saver. And how about this? A money saver. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150. That's all in. If a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year, just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit turbotax.com/local to book your appointment today. Today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. It's the last call for football on FanDuel. One final Sunday, one last kickoff. Final chance to get in on the action before the NFL season officially comes to a close. This is Super Bowl 60, and FanDuel's making sure you're right in the middle of it with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. Whether you're backing the favorite, riding the underdog, or building one last same-game parlay, this is the game everyone's been waiting for. I'm liking the Patriots as the week goes on. Well, the 2 weeks go on. Going to be grabbing the points in this one. I'm going to be jumping aboard with that one. I already have some props on my menu. How about under the punting yardage for the Seattle Seahawks? Got a couple others in there that will be jumping aboard on the FanDuel app. It's the perfect way to cap off the season and make the Super Bowl even more exciting from kickoff to the final whistle. If you're a new customer, bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. Make it count, because after the Super Bowl, sadly, the season is over. Last call for football on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com today to get started. Trent Condon back with you one final time, Locked On Hawkeyes. So as you've heard me mention, I got some concerns about this game tonight against Washington. A matchup against a big team, a matchup against a desperate team. They're going to be looking for quality victories. Reading a couple of things on the Washington perspective, this feels like an important one for them. One that Danny Sprinkle and company have had circle. Diallo, tremendous guy that can really get to the rim, and they shoot the ball, as most teams do, much better at home. Look, if Iowa can keep them off the three-point line, stay relatively even on the boards, I think they got a good shot of getting this one. FanDuel currently has Iowa as a 1.5-point favorite in the matchup. But much like we talked about last week on the women's side against USC, as I talked about with Bohnenkamp, I just have that same sinking feeling. Now, I get it. I am not the most optimistic Hawkeye fan out there. I'm not somebody that believes that they're going to win every single game, and I tend to get some of those negative feelings a bit more. This one just has that feeling to me. Let's hope that I'm dead wrong. We'll have a recap for you tomorrow on Locked On Hawkeyes. Everything that we see in Seattle from tonight. We'll break things down and give you a recap of the matchup against the Huskies in an instant reaction podcast. Thanks for being with us and making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen every day. Make sure you subscribe and follow Locked On Hawkeyes so you can get all the latest episodes here on your daily Iowa Hawkeye podcast. And if you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Get Locked On Hawkeyes ad-free, plus members-only Discord access, and a whole lot more. Just go over to our website, lockedonhawkeyes.supercast.com. lockedonhawkeyes.supercast.com. Let's bring back a victory tonight, late night. What time will the Hawkeyes get back from Seattle? Let's see. Game will get over a little after midnight Central Time. You got post game, then you got everything else. Get on the plane by. I mean, we're gonna be talking about this team getting back 6, 7 a.m. Absolutely crazy. Looking forward to the game though. Before it, we'll talk to you tomorrow. Until then, go Hawks.